All praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and labor in the word and doctrine. Shalom and peace. May that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Now, we already know the scriptures on this, but again, another update. I'm sort of late to the party on it. However, it's July. Yeah, it's not June, but it is July. So it reads, would you implant a tiny debit card chip in your hand? Forget fingerprint or facial recognition. Biometric payment is being touted or touted as the future. However you pronounce that word there. Let's see what they're tooting. All right, biometry. It says, I don't know what that is. It says calculation of life expectancy, obsolete. See bio and metry. It says later application of mathematics to the study of biology. So bio, word forming element, especially in scientific and compounds, meaning life, and, or biology. Right, for example, biology means what? Breaks down to bios, meaning life, and logos, meaning words. Right, logos, logic, and logic. All of that means word. It comes from the root to mean words, but it can go into study. You know, you're going through those different words, you're studying it. And metry, your metric. What is your metric? It says here, from French metri, Latin metria, Greek metria. I'm just winging it here. A measuring of, from metros, measurer of. Right, so it's measuring life. Biometric, it tends to mean, you know, like face, fingerprint, whatever's to do with your body being measured. Well, you're gonna measure a new thing. Let me search this. It said you can be Jewish. So if we went into that, I guess that would be metric. I'll come from a root of metric. So Matthew 7. Get this word for meter, metric. Yeah, look, measure, metron, meet, metrea. Right, like you have the imperial system and the metric system. Right, it says forget fingerprint or facial recognition. Biometric payment is being touted or Tutankhamun as the future. Right, why Tutankhamun? Because this is New Egypt. You know, Babylon the Great is Egypt. I'm saying that in jest, but truly, you know, they are the New Egypt. And Apostle Paul in Romans the 9th chapter compared Esau to Pharaoh. Why? Because Esau is the new Pharaoh, the new king, the new ruler on this earth. Let's get one scripture. It's being touted as the future. Why is the future? What's the future? The future of this man's kingdom is destruction. But this, what they're tooting, is going to be brought in to bring in the end. They're going to bring it in because the Lord set them up to, that the Lord may be justified in bringing the end upon this man. 2 Ezra 6:9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Alright, so you best believe it's not going to be China, it's not going to be Russia, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be that. It's going to be the kingdom of Yahawashi. Right, under Yahawashi you're going to have King David, under King David you're going to have the elect. Right, and the rest of the nation. Right, them that make it on this side will be, you know, are known as the elect. The whole nation of Israel is the elect. The elect nation, that is, but then you have an elect of the elect. Right, not every Israelite is of the election, if that makes sense. So all the other nations, Israel was elected, was eklektos, which is the Greek term of what means chosen, picked out. But then you have a picked out of the nation that was picked out. Right, and that's what we pray that we are of, because that's the only way we're going to make it. Okay, cool. So it's been touted as the future, because we understand that this man has an agenda and something he ought to carry out. Well, not ought to, as in it's righteous, but it's righteous of the Lord to set him up to do it. You know, because that's the proverbial screen director. So you can understand. It says Walletmore, which is, you know, we did that. It must have been 2021. They came out late 2020, I believe. You know, a lot of brothers were getting onto that. the brother, I believe his name is Brother Yahawah. In fact, Salahia. I can't remember the brother's name, but I remember a lot of brothers have done videos on this. You know, says Walletmore claims to be the first company to sell contactless bank card chips. The procedure to fit one leaves customers with a small stitch below the wrist. Once the chip is in, users no longer have to bother with debit or credit cards. Yeah, and it's not that much of an inconvenience, man. Yeah, it's really not. To carry a card in your pocket, you know, you're gonna lose your salvation threat off for that. But think about it, our kid can be keys, you know, that can have your ID on it. What were they trying to push? They're trying to push that it'll have your C19 information on it. Right, they may have your C19 information that you will never have to carry around documents, you know, when they're putting all the restrictions in place. Could this be something as well? Yeah, it's all going to be pushed. You know, you've also got Mr. Musk pushing out the Neuralink. And this video is probably going to get taken down, but it is what it is. But he's pushing that out, and that, you know, can cleanse the, what do you say? Cleanse the leper, heal the sick, bring sight to the blind. You know, there's been people that have been, and I'm just using that as that's in the scriptures that says what the gospel does. So they're trying to do the gospel on the left-hand side. Right, because there's nothing wrong with healing someone. But if you're doing witchcraft, sorcery to heal someone, of course that's wrong. Wisdom of Solomon, 12. And verse. Their physical limitations. Right, so they want to surpass what the Heavenly Father has set up for man to be in this corruptible flesh. They're trying to bring immortality on the left-hand side. You know, how do we get eternal life? Through continuing in this word and having true faith in Yahawashi. Right, primarily being of the elect. That's a given. But then how do we maintain and make our calling and election sure? As aforementioned just there. Okay? So they want to evolve beyond their physical limitation. Set that limit for a reason. The British-Polish businessman is founder of Walletmore, which claims to be the first company in the world to sell contactless bank card chips that can be implanted into humans. The procedure is simple, it's bloody, and leaves customers with a stitch below the wrist. Once the chip is in, users no longer have to bother with debit or credit cards. Now that, to anyone with a bit of sense, that seems a bit mad. To do such a drastic thing as that because you can't be asked carrying a card around. Like, come on, man. How easy is it to carry it? And I lose that shit all the time. You can get, if you've got a good bank, you just ask, can I get an emergency cash out or whatever? And then your card comes in a couple of days. It's nothing major. And how are you going to do online purchases? They probably build it into the computer. NFC, near field communication. So they've got all these angles covered. But the Lord's got them covered. Not with a covering, but with a covering of Egypt. And we'll see how strong that is. Hand over a contactless reader. It might sound like a dystopian fantasy, but Walletmore is evidence of how quickly the payment industry is progressing. So they know everyone's going to be like, what the fuck? So they have to do something called damage control, which is stating, it's a sales tactic. If you've ever done sales, marketing, advertising, any manner of business study, a good business model will state maybe a competitor, and how it's better. And it may also state a worry or a concern of a customer, right? So you've got this new a phone holder, for your car. So you might be concerned, well, what if it doesn't stick? What if it's unsecure? What if it flies out when I'm on the phone, nearly fucking crash the whip and die? And they'll say, well, although our competitors might have some issues with the security of this device, I can assure you this will hold your phone for this many hours, will do this. And then you start stating the features. So it's a sales tactic, man. And all these people are juiced in, to the system. And they're told, given directives on what they can report on, what they can't report on. So don't think that this is just a coincidence. It is a coincidence. What does that mean? With incidents. So it's happening at the same time. Doesn't mean that it's not orchestrated. Coincidence, it's just a coincidence. That doesn't really mean anything. It just happened at the same time. You're not negating any spiritual significance of it necessarily, but it's just, again, how the word is used. Right, so they're trying to say it might sound like a dystopian fantasy, or it might sound like, oh, hell is about to break loose. It might sound like the book of Revelation. However, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Look how quick it's progressing. And that's something to push out for people. With the C-19, everything happening, people losing business, everything like that. It's a secure. It's bringing them. It's reassuring them that look, this industry is growing. We're coming back. It's all implicit. It says from chip implants to fit. Now, they're not saying it's bad. They're not saying it's wicked. They're not telling you this is the MOTB. So what are they doing? They're advertising it. This is a company. It's not just the technology itself. They're pushing out, this is a company, this is what they're doing. Look how quick they're growing. They're trying to do this because they're aiming for a cashless society. You will earn nothing and you will be happy. Search that up. This has been a long time purposed by the Lord, but it's been purposed by these different groups. And this is their intention, to have complete dominance and control over access to your information, your medical records, your payment system. What better way to do it? And getting you to take that digital all. Says, but is the rapidly growing sector dangerously out of its depth? Certainly, Walletmore appears to be. So again, it appears to be. Says today, Moneymail can reveal the firm, which has been featured on both the BBC and Forbes, has been plunged into controversy after it emerged it had misled customers. You don't say. Says Mr. Paparota had been repurposing chips from a third-party supplier, Much Better, which is associated with MasterCard. And it was Bishop Nathaniel of the IUIC that was saying, what, you've got that on your credit card. Yeah, but now it's trying to get put in your hand. He's literally done that. He literally said it. Right, he's literally doing that. And I wonder if you can buy a lamb with this. You might have to ask Mr. Paprota. It says, once they related to Wallet Mar's actions, both companies pulled the plug, citing health and safety concerns. Overnight, comma is what it should say. Customers in the UK had their accounts shut down. The result, some have been left with totally redundant chips under their skin. You imagine that you get the MOTB, it fucking malfunctions. The only option at present is to have them removed, though Wallet Mar insists is looking at ways to reprogram already implanted chips for future use. Sounds weird. Sounds fruity. But you best believe, let's see what the comeback is, because they're not just gonna say this is shit, never do it. It says a microchip was first inserted into a human in 1998. Professor Kevin Warwick, who is known as Captain Cyborg, had the procedure done to link his nervous system to a computer as part of an experiment. What a bug out. But otherwise, there was little appetite for commercially available chips until Wallet Mar stepped in and began selling them as an alternative to bank cards. Why? Because they've just taken the bank card, rolled it up, put it under some glass, and stuck it in you. How crazy is that? The device is around the size of a grain of rice and costs £169 or €200. And I remember, first coming into the understanding of what the MOTB was, or maybe not first, but going into the, who brought it out among Israel first, because I was watching Sakari and stuff, but Sakari learned from Elder Apostle Taha, GMS, but chiefly Elder Apostle Taha. And I remember Elder Apostle Taha saying it's about the size of a grain of rice. There's a video of him, he'd actually ordered one, and he's just showing it, this is what they're trying to put in you. Wallet Mar could not conduct implantations, instead referring customers to piercing specialists. The chip was linked to a smartphone app run by Much Better, where customers could deposit funds. In April, Wallet Mar bragged on social media that it had been featured in more than 450 articles worldwide. Right, that's not a coincidence. Again, this is all marketing. This article, although it's saying, well, this was a controversy, this is still marketing a product to you. This is nothing more than a fancified advert. Right, so how are you going to flag me? I'm reading an advert. The implant can be used to pay for a drink on the beach in Rio, a coffee in New York, a haircut in Paris, or at your local grocery store, Mr. Paprota told the BBC earlier this year. From chip implants to facial recognition software on your mobile, new technology is aiming to consign cash and bank cards to the history books. But on a Facebook group dedicated to Wallet Mar 434 ambassadors, Wallet Mar's 433 ambassadors, customers regularly posted videos of card machines struggling to read their chips. Gary Prince, Chief Strategy Officer of software company Simply Pay Me, says it's a fascinating concept, but for something like this to work, people have to want to use it. So why? Why would you make this article? Because you want people to consider it, get conversation talking. They've got a saying, any publicity is good publicity. Like once you start getting people talking about it, then that's how you can begin to persuade people. If no one wants to talk about it, no one's heard of it, you're not going to persuade people. But the more you gradually use gradualism to get it in the minds of people and get them slowly to accept it, that's the closer you get to achieving Revelation 13:16. It says, what is the benefit of paying on your hand if it could also be loaded with identification documents? That would be a different story. But that would open up a bigger debate around privacy. So again, what did I say? I told you a few minutes ago I was talking about the C19 documents and everything like that, your medical records, everything like that. Right? Now that would be a different story, he says. But again, he has to use that sales tactic, but that would also open up a bigger debate around privacy. So it's like, oh well, clearly they've thought it through, because they've thought the negatives, they've counted it, or maybe they've just mentioned it. Well, think about this, to show. Because if they didn't mention that, you think, what about the privacy? What about the privacy issues? But because there's nothing there, There's, because they've already mentioned it, you know, you think that there's nothing to be concerned about, when really there is, man. Interest in biometric payment solutions, which use physical characteristics to identify a customer and authorize a transaction, has been growing steadily. Right, so face recognition, fingerprint recognition, or ID, however you call it. Yeah, so they're saying, well, it's already happening, and that's another example of gradualism. And so why do they need to, they say this is an article, you know, if you've ever done English language or English literature, and you start analyzing, it's probably literature, yeah, you start analyzing the purpose of a text. The text purpose here is to persuade. Okay, so they've probably been paid to write an article. I'm not saying they have, but it's a possibility. Well, I just said probability, really. Alright, this is one of the long ass articles still. See, look at all this shit, man. I'll finish it because we've got that far. So it says, take off that naked woman. Well-known examples include I should have just read on. Fingerprint and facial recognition technology, which is used among banks, tech giants, and even airports to authenticate passports. So you best believe banks, tech giants, and airports are going to end up implementing an Charagma system. Let's look up the Greek word for mark in Rev 13:16. As in the late 1990s, Nationwide piloted an ATM that could scan eyeballs to confirm identity and allow customers to withdraw money. They never went further than the initial trial. I guess everyone has a unique eyeball. You know, if your eye got fucked up, then you'd be done for. So what's the solution? The solution is to stick in a charagma in you. Even if you get nerve damage and shit, well, guess what? The charagma's not damaged, so you can still pay. In 2016, Apple Pay introduced Selfie Pay, which let customers authorize transactions by taking a photograph of their face. You know, a lot of companies do that. The following year, Santander became the first bank in the UK to bring in voice recognition technology, and in 2019, Barclays rolled out finger vein scanners, which can identify customers by their fingertips using infrared technology. Now that's the thing, if you can do that with the technology, what's the necessity of getting something implanted in you? Yeah, Amazon, I think it was Amazon that brought out that new what did they call it? Summit Pay. Yeah, and there was the Eve cartoon promoting it. But what's the purpose? If you can scan someone's palm, oh, that's your identity, cool. Then why can't you use that? You know, why do you have to use a charagma? I'm not saying that that's good, or, you know, there's not issues around that, of course. And we're not advocating or instructing this man how to rule. He will rule as he sees fit. But I'm just trying to get you to think, you know, how does that make sense? If you can do it off someone's hand, why do you need to put something in someone's hand? Which shows you it's a bigger agenda. The hope is that these types of technology could stamp out fraud, as criminals are unable to replicate these unique characteristics. Yet, card payments are still by far the most popular payment mode, with 1.7 billion debit and credit card transactions recorded in February this year, according to UK Finance. As for Walletmore, it now finds itself in a sticky mess. The company says only 2 customers in the UK had chips implanted, dozens more had paid, but not inserted them yet. Across the world, hundreds more have had chips implanted, but they're not facing the same issues because the company uses a different account provider, iCard. Right, so there's an issue. Maybe they can switch that over in the UK, and this is the solution to it all. Again, no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that name, so let me not try. But he's a lawyer who specializes in the ethics of body modification. It says Walletmore's legal department did an outstanding job protecting themselves in their terms and conditions. Right, so look, they're a well thought, they're an intelligent company. Now, this is nothing more than an advert. I'm going to say it again. They're listing the negatives, but they're sort of counterbalancing it, you know, or trying to push you towards accepting it. The company is neither responsible for any complications associated with installation nor responsible for correct work of banking. Walletmore points out that it does not technically offer a financial service, meaning it is not beholden to regulators such as Financial Conduct Authority. Yeah, we're nearly there, man. Mr. Proprietor tells Money Mail, we are asking our users for patience as soon the chips can work flawlessly. Also in the British Isles, Walletmore is a transparent, honest and professional company. We openly promote our ideas of transhumanism. We do not hide anything and operate in accordance with the law. The fallout has left Walletmore devotees divided, and many of its ambassadors treat the tech as though it were a religion, which it is, man. Which it is. Absolutely is. One wrote on its Facebook page, I trust Walletmore to get this resolved. Every new technology faces problems along the way. Others are less forgiving. What has emerged is a failure to perform due diligence. Writes one. Walletmore did the tour of the media and confidently claimed they were making implants mainstream. The reality was very different from that. It's tempting to dismiss those so eager to jump on board, right? So it's attempted again, negative, and then what's the positive? What's the actual? What's the truth according to them? However, some 51% of individuals across Europe and the UK would consider implanting a chip in their hand, according to a 2021 survey by payment solution service Marketa. I'm not sure of the sample size, but if you extrapolate that out, that's a hell of a lot of people, man. They would at least considering it. Didn't say they would, they would 100% commit to it, but even that is concerning. But as it's written, woe unto the world and them that dwell therein. Okay. But when Money Mail approached much better and MasterCards for statements on their relationship with Walletmore, their responses were telling. Okay, their responses were telling. A MasterCard spokesman says, this is not a product we are involved with or endorse. This is an area that requires consideration. Buy or sell, so it's either at the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Yeah, so Shalom put two and two together. All praise to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Racha Kudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well and labor in the word and doctrine. Shalom to the elect.